family and friends to this morning's worship service. We're glad that you chose to take the time to tune in with us. We appreciate it so much. We hope that you get something out of the Word. We've been in a series called what? Anybody know? Honey, I love you. I just don't understand it. And one of the big issues that we deal with in marriage is, and relationship period, but is a lack of understanding between each other. And we're going to finish up this series. I'm actually going to do a part 2 later on. I was planning to do some things in Bible study, but I'm going to do a part 2 later on sometime this year. I think I have an open spot in terms of my sermon calendar. So I think I'm going to do an extra a part 2 of this, or division 2, or whatever. But right now, what we've been dealing with, we dealt with in the beginning of this, we dealt with the area of being, what kind of well are we? What kind of well are we digging? And we began to find out that each of us are a well, and we can contain living water. You know, the Bible teaches that Jesus said that a well of living water will spring up out of you. And so a well of living water is a well that brings forth life to the person who they're in relationship with. And we find out we could be wells of despair, we could be wells of oppression. We dealt with a whole bunch of different things. And then we got into 3 things, 3 important marital truths that every couple must know and practice. And so what we've been dealing with in that is, we dealt with number one, we're all sinners. And we're all selfish. We're all selfish because we're all redeemed sinners. Okay? Now, we're no longer sinners. We're the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. We're born again and we're the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. But in our flesh dwells no good thing.
Amen.
So our flesh still wants to do the same things it did before it got saved. Now, over time and with practice and development, we won't do everything that we did. But here's the thing. Here's 2 things. Number 1, if you don't believe what you were doing was wrong in the first place, you'll never fix it.
Amen.
It doesn't matter what somebody says to you. You can't fix it if you don't believe it's wrong.
Right.
Well, so our flesh still, if I was to stop praying, stop studying the Bible, stop going to church, I'd probably go back to doing all the things I did before I got saved. Because the flesh has to have discipline imposed on it.
Amen.
And because the flesh, we were born in sin, as the old saying is, David said we were shapen in iniquity. We were born in sin and we were shaped in iniquity. So we were born from sinful parents, and their iniquities are passed down to us. Iniquities are their ways, their unrighteous ways. Whether you like it or not, your mama has some unrighteous ways, your daddy has some unrighteous ways, your grandmama and your great, you think they were all perfect and holy and never did? No, they had some ways too.
Amen.
You know, my father, Papa, was a rolling stone. Yeah. Wherever he laid his hat, I know one of his daughters, my sister, might not like that, but wherever he laid his hat was on, because he had about 12 of us, 11, 12, 13 of us. That brother was a rolling stone. Now, by the same token, my mama wasn't no saint either. Because if she was, she wouldn't let him roll on by. You understand? But Jim might get me for this one. But she let him roll on top of her. That's the problem, see? And so, but I wouldn't be here if she wouldn't have done that. So, what you gonna do? You know? So you're born in sin. You're born in sin, and you're shaped in iniquity. So I have to make sure that I'm not a rolling stone.
Amen.
My granddaddy Elijah Woods, he was still pinching nurses on his deathbed. That's on the other side. See, my father's side, but that's on my mama's side. Elijah Woods was my mother's father. That's my grandfather. And boy, I tell you, I rode someplace with my father. I went to meet him, and that was the first time I met him. And we were riding down the street. He had to be 79 years old. And we were riding down the street. He's driving, still healthy, driving and whatnot. 78, I think he was 78 years old. And there was this young girl walking down the street. I'm talking to him, right? I'm trying to make sure he keeps his eyes on the road. He old, I'm concerned about him driving. He's driving pretty good, you know. But you know, I was concerned. And then I don't know, out of the blue, he said, see that old girl coming down the street? Well, I didn't have my glasses on. I couldn't even see that far. He said, she got a pretty good body, but her face ain't that good. It took about 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. And when I got up there, he was absolutely right. That brother, 78 years old, he still saw everything and nothing get past him, you know, whatever. I mean, you know, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to put him out, but I'm just saying, you know. So as a believer, I have to recognize I get it from both sides. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Iniquities. There's iniquities. Some people call them generational curses. The Bible never calls them generational curses, but it calls them iniquities. So every one of you all, it could be alcohol. That could be an iniquity that was passed down. Or it could be anger issues. It could be a lot of different things. I get anger from the wood side. Boy, there's some angry people. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, we've all gotten, most of us have gotten better. The majority of us gotten better because we got saved. We got saved, got filled with the Holy Spirit. But I have to work on myself in that area. You understand what I'm saying? So we're born in sin, shaped in iniquity. Well, the root of sin is selfishness. Amen. So everybody in here, whether you, see, you know what's so bad about selfishness? Is that you really don't realize you're selfish. She said, yes, you do. There's some people that have never been taught that they're selfish. So they just think, okay, well, that's just the way I am. But for you to grow and for you to change, there has to be some discipline either imposed on you from the outside or first, it usually has to be imposed on the outside when you're growing up as a kid, as a child. But see, these are the people that don't realize they're selfish. It are two people. Either people who never have discipline imposed from the outside, or people who are just rebellious, even though they have discipline imposed from the outside. Does that make sense to you? Because there's some people, they're just hard-headed, rebellious, and they just don't give a rip. Maybe there's a third group that they get a whooping, but they don't get told why they get a whooping. Or they don't really get instructed in that. But most of the time, it's not really that third one, it's just you rebellious. You just... but you know what the Bible, well, I won't even deal with it. The Bible says beat the foolishness out of them. Anyway, I'm going to leave that one alone. And so we're selfish. And so that is the center, and that is the reason for our problems in relationships. Because my feelings get hurt. Your feelings get hurt. You didn't do what I expected. Amen. I didn't do what your expectations aren't met. Now, there should be a certain base level of expectations of things happening, but none of us are perfect. Amen. And if we all understand that we're not perfect, there are going to be some letdowns in relationships. Amen. It's just impossible to not let each other down, hurt each other's feelings, disappoint at some point. Okay, well, whatever. It's just, you're living unrealistically. One time Jesus said this, offenses must needs come. So what he was saying is, as long as you're in this earth, you're going to get offended at times. All right? But now, here's something that we all have to deal with, including myself, is that you've got to grow past offense. Yeah. The Bible says one of the reasons why we get offended is because we don't love God's word. We don't love God's law. That's why we get offended, and that's why we don't change. Amen. You understand what I'm saying? It's because we don't love God's law. So I still get offended at times. I don't get offended now as nearly as much as I did before. Now, when I get offended, I'm offended. And I may step back for a second and deal with the offense. You understand what I'm saying? As opposed to cutting you totally out of my life. Because I can make you be dead to me. I can look straight through you like you don't even exist. Okay, whatever. But now I take a step back and say, okay, you offended me. And you may have legitimately offended me. I may have a legitimate reason to be offended. But then I have to look at myself and say, okay, how do I grow past being offended by that? if it's a person that I want to have a relationship with, family, friends, whatever, how do I grow past that? How do I look at that and just let it roll off of my back like water off a dustpan? That takes some discipline. Okay. All right. So so we got into that about that. Then we got into the fact that there are differences between men and women's needs. So what we've been dealing with the last couple of weeks are the fact that men have 5 basic needs and women have 5 basic needs. I'm not going to go back and review those needs. You can find this on Facebook or YouTube if this is the first time seeing it. So we're going to pick up with the 4th need of the woman that the man or that the husband must meet. Is that okay with y'all? So the woman's 4th need is for financial support. Now, what we're saying is, again, what I'm teaching right now is what I consider teaching at a 30,000 foot view. What do I mean? The big picture. Now, when I pick up with this thing later on this year and get into Division 2 or Part 2, then I'm going to bring it down to the ground level. Sometimes I'm too ambitious in terms of what I want to teach and how much I can get across. You know, some people say I actually teach too much. And that might be true. But I always think y'all smart enough to handle it. Y'all smart enough to handle it in here?
Amen.
So the 4th thing is you must meet her need for financial support. Now, this is what men, listen. I just had this conversation a week ago about some things, but I don't want to go into a whole thing. But one of the young men came to me and was asking me this. You've got to shoulder the responsibility to house, feed, and clothe your family.
Amen.
Even if she's a working professional too. Now, I personally believe this. Well, young couples starting out usually need both people working.
Amen.
All right? And I have absolutely no problems with a wife working until she retires. All right? Nothing wrong with it. Now, what happens is, when we run into this issue that, well, let me just say this. Number one, after World War II, they did a switch up on us. So what is that? I gotta tell you this so you understand it. They did a switch up on us. Before World War II, incomes were primarily one spouse income. Now, for black people, it was a little different for this reason. For this reason. Number one, there was major discrimination against us.
Amen.
So the jobs back, even as far back then, were different. You had blacks doing a lot of menial jobs. Now, don't misunderstand me. You had Black Wall Street at one time, and you had a lot of. We've always had a 3 to 10% group of people that were successful as black people. That's just the way it is. I mean, going all the way back, you know, we've always had that. But as a whole, the discrimination process for black people a lot of times required both the husband and the wife to work all the way back as far as we can go back. And then another thing that would happen is men, one of the things that this society imposed on black men is we don't want them to work at much, even if they have a degree, because we humiliate them this way. So many times the black woman would be able to get a job when the black man couldn't, but a lot of times those jobs were working as domestics or working in kitchens or all those kind of things. So from that standpoint, there was a struggle. When we got to probably the 60s and 70s, things changed a little bit. A lot. Actually, it changed a lot by the 70s in terms of the opportunities and things. But here's where the switch up came. During World War II, the women, even white women, had to come out of their homes to work in factories for the war effort.
Amen.
While the soldiers, the men, were overseas fighting. So women were making, they still weren't making as much as men in most cases, maybe 65 cents on the dollar, 75 cents if they were fortunate on the dollar, but they were So what happened is the men came back home and they took their jobs or different jobs and everything, and there was kind of a boom. But then the powers that be began to realize, hey, wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute. Now there are two household incomes. So when a house used to be $32,000 or $28,000 to purchase. Some of y'all saying, that was a while back. But when they used to be in those areas, that was because there was only a single income. And sometimes they were lower than that. But then when that two income came, the powers that be said, you know what? Instead of charging $32,000 for a house, we'll charge $64,000 or we'll charge $58,000, and those two incomes together will be able to afford it. Now the women are stuck. And now we're stuck in a situation societally where both parties have to work. So now we have women sometimes now that have this mentality that, well, I'm going to work for a little while and stop working. You understand what I'm saying? But the whole basis of society is, on an economic tip, is for a two household income unless you're a doctor or a lawyer or some other major kind of business person, professional, some, whatever. But the average middle class, I was talking to a friend of mine and we were talking about the fact that their father in the 70s and 80s, I think, was making close to $70,000 a year with overtime. So I asked them, how much do you make? They said $70,000. And they would, because they would be talking about the $70,000 that they were making, and it sounds like it's pretty good. But when you think about $70,000 in the 80s versus $70,000 in 2018. So what's basically happened is salaries haven't really kept up with the cost of living. Does that make sense to you? It hasn't come. So yes, it is the husband's responsibility to shoulder the burden financially. Okay? But you've got to understand that you can't live like your grandma lived or your great-grandma lived. Amen. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. So here's something that you have to deal with. First of all, the man has to deal with his responsibility. But second of all, women have to deal with the fact that, you know what, if I'm not going to work, I can't live in a mini-mac mansion. We may have to get us a little cottage somewhere. I know they're going to have a cottage, but we might have to buy us a townhouse and something that he can afford. Amen. If I'm going to stay at home. Yeah. Okay. Amen. All right? So, now back to the men. All right? You can't feel sorry for yourself. Because it's our responsibility to shoulder the burden. Instead, you've got to look for concrete ways to increase your earnings. Amen. So they're crying about it and now watch this, and upgrading your skills. Yeah. Or you've got to sit down with her and determine how to make a better use of the income that you have. Or you may have to sit down and determine how to lower costs. There's only two things that you can do: lower costs or increase income. Now, I'm really for increasing income. All right? But you got to do what you got to do to either lower costs or raise income in order to make... See, because here's some of the things that you run into. Number one, you can get so caught up into making that money that the relationship flies apart. So you guys have to really sit down and talk about this thing and work through it. And understand this, that it's not always static. And you got to understand that you go through seasons. For example, you may agree that for a year or two, that let's say you have children, you have to agree that for the young couple, you may have to agree that for 2 years she stays off. Because you want to keep her off until they're 2 before you put them in daycare. Because you want them to be able to tell if somebody touched them. Amen. Okay, whatever. All kind of different things like that. Okay, so if we decide that means we probably going to have to cut costs. Right. So where we had all the HBO, all the, whatever, we might have to get an antenna. antenna that you can buy that will pull it in, and I'm getting ready to pull it in, baby. I'm getting ready to pull it in. I'm getting ready to pull it in. All right? So you won't need DirecTV or nobody. Okay, well, whatever. Now, you're going to have to buy that antenna for each television set. It's about $50 or something like that. I don't know. It's under $100. It's under $100. Yeah. All right. So, number one, here's some things that you can do to help your wife feel secure with your finances. Number one, pray about your finances. Pray about them together. Believe God. Got it? You know, of course, you need to be praying with your wife daily, right? But you need to pray specifically about finances. And when I say pray, believe God. When your wife hears you pray specifically for certain things financially, they know you're trusting God. All right? Number two, you need to talk about your finances. And you can flip them if you want to. I'm cool. But it's in the area of talking, especially in the area of things like who's going to keep the I'm going to use this term because probably not too many people write checks per se, but who's keeping the checkbook? You know, who's better at it? The wife or the husband? It's nothing wrong with your manhood for you to let your wife keep the checkbook. If she's better at it than you. Okay. Number three, you need a budget. I know that's an ugly word to a lot of people. Budget. Sometimes using a budget can feel like it's a chore. You understand? But by using a budget, you get a chance to keep a record of your finances, what you're spending, all of those kinds of things, and it allows you to use your money appropriately. I could have put this one first too. Tithe and give. Why tithe and give? Well, you want God to bless your finances. Now, again, the fifth area is you can always improve your skills. You got to improve your knowledge. You can improve your skills. I mean, you know, there are things that you can do extra online to make money. You can sell things, but you probably gonna have to spend a little money to learn how to do it properly. But there are people selling things, making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month. They are no longer working on a regular job. And then you know, we talk about real estate. And there are different things. Now, if you don't want to change, it's okay with me. You know, but you can't sit around as a husband and just let the needs not be met. You know, I know a man one time, his wife wouldn't go to work. So, you know, he told her he needed some help, and she said, no, she's not going to work. Told him he needed 2 jobs. He told her, well, you know what, I'll be a fool to work 2 jobs before you even work a part-time job. I agree. You understand what I'm saying? But then she, of course, wouldn't do anything, so he told her, well, my money is my money. As long as these bills are paid, you know. Now, I don't know if that was right, but he was trying to get her to see, you know, you can't demand everything and you don't want to contribute. Amen. So wives, you know, be realistic. Understand that in today's society, you probably need to work. Amen. You know, and maybe you guys can create a business or something, or some enterprise that raises the finances to the level that you can stay at home if that's what you want to do. But here's another thing I want to say to the single women out here. If you have in mind that you're going to reach a state, you don't plan to work but so long. See, my family, all the women in my family work. All the women in my family always work. Okay, well, whatever. They always worked until they retired. And in my family, we never quit a job till we had another job. Amen. Ain't no quitting a job, looking for a job 2 months, 3 months. By that time, finances are in trouble. Right. We've been operating on one income, on 2 incomes, and now you just decide, well, I'm too stressed out on that job. Well, bro, he's stressed out too on his job, but he some point we get to these, before you get married if you're single, we're going to agree that at this point, I'm going to get to a certain point and I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. That's my dream. You need to tell that brother that.
Amen.
You do not need to surprise him. You get married. You see, and he thinks that you are a hard worker and whatever, and you got 30 as your retirement day. You're going to have a problem. Okay. All right. Let's move to. So brothers, you gotta meet her financial needs. You gotta read, study, learn, do whatever you gotta do to improve and increase your finances, because it is on us. Remember, the Bible does say that if a man don't work, he don't eat.
Right.
Didn't say that about the woman. Although what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Anyway, but if a man don't work, he don't eat. But secondly, the Bible says that if a man won't provide for his own household, he's worse than an unbeliever or an infidel, as the scripture says.
Yeah.
So it is our responsibility to be provided. It's our responsibility to be protectors first, providers second. All right? I got a couple other P's. But anyway, but those two right there, those are our responsibilities. All right? All right, now let's deal with the fourth thing for a woman meeting, or a wife meeting her husband's need, or to become what do we call an irresistible wife. You must meet his need for attractiveness. I know this is the controversial one. By keeping yourself physically fit. Woo! Don't throw no rocks at me. With diet and exercise. And by wearing your hair and makeup and clothes in a way that your husband finds attractive and tasteful. All right? So who are you dressing for? When you get married, you know, and that works both ways too. A husband should dress for, look, this whole weight thing and hair thing and all these other things, that works both ways.
Amen.
That works both ways. Okay? So, and men, so let me get on the men before I get on and finish with this. All right? So men usually have an issue about, let me just say this. Number one, most of the time, when you get married, men, your wife is going to gain some weight. I mean, in that first year, she's going to probably pick up 5 or 10 pounds. It just seems to happen by osmosis. You're happy, cooking every night, all this other stuff, whatever, start picking up weight. But brothers, we got to be honest with ourselves. Like me. I ain't going to tell you how much I weighed when I got married, but it was less than 2 bills. Well, now, it's way more than 2 bills. So even for me to get down to what my ideal weight would be, I would still be 20 pounds over what I weighed when I got married. If I got down to what I weighed when I got married, y'all swear, Pastor on the down low and caught AIDS, or he using crack or something. I mean, my eyes would be bulging out my head and my cheekbones would be, I would just be in bad shape if I got down to where I was, where I was married. So understand this, first of all, men, that there is going to be some weight gain. And brothers, you gain weight too. You understand what I'm saying? You're getting at home, cooking and all that stuff, and you won't gain some weight. So don't be unrealistic about this thing. Okay, well, it's quiet in this Holy Ghost church. All right? But let's get back to the women. So you should dress in a way that your husband finds attractive and tasteful. Or don't get married. Attractive and tasteful.
Amen.
All right? Now, I remember there's a thing y'all probably saw on Facebook that's going around. I don't know if it's apocryphal or whether it's true, but Muhammad Ali was talking to his daughters and telling them that everything that God made that was of value is covered up. Whether you want to talk about diamonds, whether you want to talk about gold, whether you want to talk about oil, it's covered up. And in order to get to it, you have to uncover it. And the only person that really should be uncovering all of that is your husband.
Amen.
You understand what I'm saying? So women, you have to recognize that you're valuable. And you know, I was talking with a family member, and they were talking about when they used to, you know, go to clubs and different things or whatever. The people that they went to clubs with, they always dressed a certain way. Everything showing. Bam, bam, bam. Right? But they always, in other words, they wore the same thing out in the club that they could wear to church. Okay, well, forget you. And, see, just keep looking, that's her. But I was trying to, she said, that's me, amen, okay, well, whatever. And so they were getting the most attention because the guys weren't after the hoochies. What they call them? They don't call them hoochies no more. They call them ratchets. I don't want to say thoughts because thoughts mean them holes over there. They don't have to necessarily be holes. They can just be ratchet. You can be ratchet in your dress and not be a hole. Huh? What you say? I know I'm on TV, but I ain't saying nothing that, you know, I'm on Facebook, all right? But I'm telling you, that's what thought means. That's what thought means, all right? So, huh? Okay, my daughter said it is. My daughter trying to help me, all right? I'm going to preach the sermon by myself, all right? Anyway, so I'm just saying, you know, you don't have to show everything. Amen. Leave something for the imagination. And when you get married, your husband don't want everybody seeing all your goods. I mean, listen, if you've been used to dressing that way, stay single if you can't change. You probably shouldn't be dressing that way anyway. All I'm saying is, once you get married, now you're not single. So you got to recognize, you know, and listen, some women, it's hard for them to cover up some stuff they have. I mean, if you're a full-figured woman, it ain't as easy to cover up if you know, a size 00, maybe, or something like that. But even 00s need to cover up some things. Does that make sense to you? Yes. So you got to figure out, I mean, I'm not saying your husband should be a troglodyte or a caveman that's, no, woman, you better, you can't wear. No, but you should have enough respect for him that he said, baby, that blouse is too low cut. Well, I just want to show my cleavage. To whom? That's all I'm saying. To whom? Who you trying to show it to? Amen. Baby, when that dress is already this short, and when you sit down, or you know them stretchy pants. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Wear them stretchy pants and they can see the color of your underwear through them. Your husband probably don't like that. I know this is a sensitive issue. It's sensitive for men and women. All right, now let's get back to this. From a man's perspective, a wife's effort to be beautiful, watch this, for her husband, speaks of her care and her respect for him, and communicates her desire to be sexually attractive and available to him. Now, you can't listen to this in a vacuum. Okay, we're on one point. You got to go back to the stuff that we said prior to that. Communication, affection, all these other things. You got to go back, don't well, he ain't going to be sexually attracted to him. I mean, what am I, some kind of a, just an object or a plaything? No, we already talked about all of the different things that he's got to do. Amen. All right? And so in his view, if you don't take the time to do that, basically, you demonstrate a disregard for him. Now, I know some of y'all tripping, but marriage is an earthly parable of the relationship of Christ and the church. So go with me to Ephesians chapter 5. Listen. I think men and women are visual creatures. You understand what I'm saying? But men are hardwired to be visual. I mean, women don't want no ugly man either. For the most part, but I've seen some ugly brothers. that had money and had pretty women. I've seen some ugly brothers that knew how to treat a woman and had a pretty woman. So if a man knows how to treat a woman and really does it, you know, for the right reason, whatever, he can get a pretty woman and be ugly. Or not so handsome. I hate to use the word ugly, but, you know, but men, you know, men, I mean, everybody's view of attractiveness is different.
Yes.
Let me just tell you, you know, whether you're a double zero or a plus size woman, okay? Look, brothers, if you date her and she plus size, you can't ask her to become double zero after you get married.
Amen.
Go take your little self somewhere and have a couple of seats over there, because that don't make no sense. People have different body types. Okay? So there's a body type for everyone. Okay? I know this is a chat. There's a body type for everyone.
Amen.
But again, I'm saying, okay, so you're a plus size. I don't know what size I'm gonna use. I ain't gonna use no size because I ain't gonna get in trouble. But say you're a plus size, well, don't become a double plus size. You know, what is it? Plus plus. Or brother, if you're an X, don't become a 3X. I'm talking to the guy. Don't become a 3X. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? You still have to have enough, on both sides, enough respect for each other that you just don't get to a point where you become physically unattractive. What's the matter? What I do? Sign. Okay, that's all right. All right. So go to Ephesians 5. I know, maybe I'm in trouble, but it's okay. It's in the Bible. Ephesians 5:25. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. 26. That he might what? Sanctify and what? Cleanse her with the washing of the water of the word. That's a whole area that men, you got to say positive things to your wife. You got to say things that make her, that wash her and cleanse her. Wash her and cleanse her of what? Insecurities, hang-ups. You understand what I'm saying? You can't use your words as a weapon against her.
Amen.
You got to build her up.
Amen.
All right? But now watch 27. He does this that he might present her to himself. So he wants to, see, the man ain't trying to get you to present yourself to some other man by showing all your goods.
Amen.
But that he might present her to what? Himself. Now watch what it says here. A glorious church. Underline the word glorious. Not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that should be holy and without blemish. Now, here, the whole issue is about holiness, but then it also says without blemish. Got it? So husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes it. There's that responsibility part for the finances. Nourishes it. And also what? Cherishes it. Just as the Lord, now here's what I want to show you this parable. Just as the Lord does the church. For we are members of his body and of his flesh. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they two shall become one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. So he's using Christ and the church as a parable of the relationship between a husband and wife. Can y'all see that? Yeah. Now, what I want to point out to you is this word glorious. The word glorious there, it means splendid. Here's the word that stuck out to me when I was researching this. It means gorgeous. So watch this, watch this, watch this. So that he might present her to himself, watch this, a gorgeous church. So if Christ wants his church to be gorgeous, there's nothing wrong with a man wanting his wife to be gorgeous in his sight. Now remember this, the Bible teaches that we are holy and without blame in his sight through love. You understand what I'm saying? So Christ and the Father have an ability to look at us through love without our blemishes. Without all the other issues. But Jesus is still working on us to get rid of them. See, there's a paradox there. On the one hand, because he loves us so much, he sees us, Father sees us through Christ But Jesus is working on the spots and the blemishes.
Amen.
The Father is looking at us through Christ. It's as if when he sees us, there's like this special glass, you know, like 3D glasses or whatever, you put them on and you see, and then boom, he sees us looking like Jesus. So that way, we can come to the Father boldly in prayer and all of those different things because the Father is seeing us as if we were Jesus. Jesus said he always hears my prayers and all the different things, so we can expect that. But Jesus is saying, but I see the blemishes in the spots. Not because I don't love you as much as the Father does, I got to work on them.
Amen.
So I'm speaking to you, I'm washing you by the water of my word. I'm saying things to you. I'm telling you how to grow up. I'm telling you how to be better. And all that, so that on the day that the church actually is raptured out of here and appears before God, it's going to be the most gorgeous thing in the universe.
Amen.
The church is at least part of Christ's bride. Now, I believe Old Testament saints are part of that too, but that's debatable. But we're at least part of the bride of Christ. And he wants a gorgeous bride. So is it wrong then for a man to want a gorgeous wife? He's hardwired that way anyway. So if it's wrong for the man to want a gorgeous bride or wife, then it's wrong for Christ to want a gorgeous bride or wife. Well, it's not. And he's saying, this is a mystery, but I speak of Christ in the church. He's trying to show you that, there's a parable there. So this verse really indicates that men are wired or hardwired to be attracted to beauty in a woman, just as the heavenly bridegroom, Jesus, desires the beauty of his bride. I believe that every woman deep down inside wants to feel desired and feel beautiful. It's the way God has created the male and the female relationship. And this illustration points to something far bigger than ourselves. The beauty has much to do not just with how she dresses or actual physical appearance, but it also has to do with our attitude. Look at 1 Peter. So, listen to me. Everybody has something, you know, everybody has a flaw or flaws. You know, and everybody has things that they like and they don't like. You know, some men don't like women with big feet. Tell them to keep on moving because you can't change your feet. So if you're going to always be talking about bringing up my big feet, then you need to go on because I ain't going to let you make me feel less than. I don't talk about your big ears. All right, let's just put it down. All right? So y'all won't be distracted. But I don't talk about those kinds of things, right? So it's not our job. That's why he said he builds them up with the washing of the water of his word. So brothers, you need to find somebody, listen to me, and this is gonna sound ragged. But you need to find somebody that you're not trying to fix.
Amen.
Or that you feel like you are settling for. Women, you need to find somebody that you're not trying to fix and that you settle for. Well, I don't like him, but if I put a little work, he can look better. Man, and we got what we got. We got what we came here with, you know? You know, I would love to be 2, 3, 4 inches taller. Can't do nothing about it. If you got a problem with a 6-foot man, then you need to move on to a 6'2" or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 9. I mean, you understand what I'm saying?
Amen.
I can't change my height. If you want a man with hair, I ain't the man. Most of us gone. I have to just admit it. All right, 1 Peter chapter 3. Are y'all getting anything out of this?
Yes.
1 Peter chapter 3. Man, I mean, in everybody's view, I remember my cousin, Jerry. I remember this guy that she used to go with. And my cousin is an attractive woman. She's old now, but she'll be mad when I said. She's older now. She's maturing, but she was really a pretty girl. And I think that boy, if I remember his name, was Jeffrey or somebody.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, boy, that boy to me was just, he was funny looking. And I said, Jerry, why do you like that funny looking boy? And she said, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. shut up, you know. I was only about 10, but he was funny looking at me, you know. And I got another cousin. The father said, you always bring home funny looking, ugly boys. You know. But you know what? And for the most part, it was true. But that's what they liked. You know, some people, I'm going to use black people. I'm not, because, you know, we because of, you know, slavery and all the different things happening, we come from as light as white and as dark as, you know, charcoal. Yeah, we come, I mean, you know, some of us are from Wakanda and some of us are, you know, wannabes from Wakanda, whatever. I mean, you know, so if you like light, ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, some people have a disposition for lighter skinned men or women. But don't get you a dark skinned woman that you now later gonna be talking about, I didn't want your chocolate self in the first place. No, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just saying, because all you're gonna do is, especially our darker sisters, they've already been told you look pretty for a dark skinned woman. Well, nobody wants to hear you look pretty for. Just tell them they look pretty if they look pretty, but don't say for a dark-skinned woman. You understand what I'm saying? Or if you like dark skin, you know, you like chocolate. Delete the Mocha brothers and the, you know, whatever. Leave, you know, Carmel brothers alone. Leave them alone. Because if, you know, because that's not. Now, personally, that stuff to me is just shallow, and you better be more concerned about how they treat you than whether they chocolate or mocha or caramel or vanilla or whatever. You need to be more concerned about that. But if you got a real problem with that, then you need to stay away, because some of y'all just shallow anyway, and that's it. Or if you don't like folks with big noses or all these different things, if that's a hang up for you, that's a real hang up or whatever, then you need to leave them alone. Okay, anyway. All right, 1 Peter 3. Because everything ain't going to stay the same anyway. It ain't stay the same on you, it ain't going to stay the same on her. Wives, verse 1. Wives, likewise, I got to hurry up. Be submissive to your own husbands. That's a whole other teaching that we're not going to get into. That even if some do not obey the word, they, without a word, may be won by the conduct of their wives. That part right there, I ain't even dealing with the submissive, whatever. But women, you, by your conduct, one of my friends, they were driving in a van. They were driving in a van. The family was in a van. And I don't know exactly what it was, but the wife was just like haranguing him about something or whatever. And he was just like, he ain't paying no attention. And then his little girl said, Daddy, could you give me such and such a thing? He said, sure, baby. And kept on driving. And the wife was like, what? I've been, what? He said, because you don't know how to use your feminine wiles. She asked sweet and kind. Sure, I'll do anything in the world. But you like, you gotta blah, 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 blah. And when you do that, the brother just, he just tune you out, shut down, that's it. So I said, well then you think I'm just going to be kissing you behind. No, it's not about kissing you behind. It's about what this says here. This wasn't even part of the message. But they may be won by their conduct. There's just a way that you can talk to somebody, and a way that you can act toward somebody, a wife toward a man, that'll make a man do anything for you. If he loves you. You understand what I'm saying? If he loves you. I'm not, you know, if he, all right, anyway. When they observe your chaste and conduct accompanied by respect, that's what this word fear means. It means respect. Do not let, now here's what it's telling the wife. Do not let your adornment, this word adornment means anything that enhances the appearance, especially like any kind of beautiful object. It could be earrings, necklaces, you know, even your weave, right? Do not let your adornment be, watch what it says here, merely outward. Now, what a lot of sanctified holiness people thought this meant is, see, child, don't let your adornment be outward. That's not what it said. It said, don't let it merely be Some women need more, some women need less. And then some men like a natural look. Ain't nothing wrong with wearing some nice clothes. Nothing wrong with you understand what I'm saying? But it's what you and your spouse and what your spouse desires. So don't get caught up in this verse. In other words, see, what am I trying to tell you? The Bible is telling you as a wife, your man wants you to look a certain way. That's all I'm saying. Okay, y'all so quiet. When you be talking about the men, they be amening and so forth and so on. And, you know, let me get to this one. Both wives and husbands should at least maintain decent dental hygiene. And go to the doggone dentist. Open up your mouth and one tooth sitting in your mouth. Okay, whatever. So you should have decent dental hygiene, physical hygiene, wear clothes that are in a situation that flatters your shape. Huh? You should wear complimentary haircuts. Okay. You may never be skinny, but you don't have to be morbidly obese and decrepit. Now, brothers, don't try to monitor your wife's food intake. There's going to be a fight. All right? In other words, let me just say this to the men. You know, don't outwardly say anything that's going to get you socked in the eye. Or that's going to get you cut off. Okay? You know, you have to work around situations. Maybe you can find something to do. Let's start swimming together. Let's start walking together. Let's go to the gym together. You know, whatever you need to do. Maybe we can start cooking healthy together. You know, because you can never out-exercise a bad diet anyway. The reason why we're overweight primarily is because we eat poorly. Okay, well, that went over real big. But the reason why most of us are overweight is because we eat a lot of carbs and bad carbs and whatever. You know, it's nothing wrong with carbs, but we eat bad carbs. We love the pastas and, you know, and that kind of the breads and whatever. And those are things that make us heavier. The pies and all the other stuff that goes along. Now, you can eat it from time to time, but the Bible says do everything in moderation.
Amen.
Say moderation.
Moderation.
Tell your neighbor, he that began a good work in me will complete it against that day. All right, number five. Husbands, you must meet her need for a family commitment by putting your family first. Now here's another one. See, these things, let me just give you this real quickly. You got to commit your time and energy to the spiritual, moral, intellectual, and physical development of your children. Now, we've talked about your commitment to her and your attention to her, but then you also got to do the same thing with the family. So for the younger ones in here, when your kids are younger, you should engage them in sports, take them camping or on outings. You know, I regret the fact that I didn't take my oldest kids, and really I'm not a real camper or whatever, so that's something that I didn't do like I should have. Okay? I did take more outings and try to do things with them, but you know, as I've gotten older, I realized, but you know what, I didn't grow up doing a lot of camping. I grew up hunting and fishing, but not a lot of camping, and I never really liked camping myself. Shoot. All right. But find something that you and your family can like. So let's deal with this family thing. Start first by putting your wife first. All right? So this is might be controversial with close families, but you have to prioritize your spouse over your biological family.
Yep.
You just have to. Now that doesn't mean see, every time we talk about these things, there are two sides to it. You gotta put her first, or prioritize her over them, but you can't let her cut you off from them. My sister and I, we were talking, and she was saying, if you ever get a girlfriend that tries to cut you off from your family or your best friend, you need to leave them alone. If they start, if you got a best friend and y'all good friends, and you know there's a good person, and then they start talking what they're trying to do is they're trying to separate you. And you need to tell them, if I got to make a choice between you and them, you're going to lose every time. But you need to leave them alone because it's not going to stop once you get married. They're going to keep trying to separate you. Okay? All right. But, so I'm just trying to help you in that regard. But no family member should ever take priority over your spouse. You gotta help your spouse. You gotta spend time with your spouse and with your family members. But that's after meeting your wife's needs and conversing and so forth with her first. So there's got to be some conversation. That, honey, I love you. You're first, but yet my family is my family. So you got to look at, like sometimes some people are in situations where they don't like their family. So they don't want you to like your family. They don't want to spend time with their family, so they don't want you spending time with your family. If you find somebody that really hates their family, yeah, you probably need to run. You probably need to run. But then sometimes what you'll find is you'll find a wife who she just wants you to be at all her family functions. Well, we went to my mama's house for Thanksgiving. Well, we went to your mama's house for Thanksgiving last year. I want to go to my mama's house. Maybe y'all can go to both mama's houses on Thanksgiving if it's local. 2 hours or 3 hours here, 2 hours or 3 hours there. But there has to be some equity there, some fairness that's there. Amen. You understand what I'm saying? All right? So I'm saying, yeah, you got to put her first, but I'm saying to her, yeah, but you got to have enough sense to understand that he had a family before he came along too. Okay? Number two, you've got to obviously then prioritize your wife over your friends. Spending time with your friends is fun and relaxing. But, however, once you get married, it's important to put your wife before your friends. A lot of young men don't understand that. So together you've got to decide when it's appropriate to go out with your friends. Now, you don't know, you might end up enjoying spending time together with friends. Okay? But if you don't, then wives, it's like we don't need to ask for permission, but then at the same time, it shouldn't be, I'm going out, you better sit over there and sit down and shut up or whatever. There needs to be some understanding that he needs some time to hang with his boys too. Now, men, you got to understand, now that you're single, or now that you're married and you're single friends, you probably don't need to go to the same places that y'all used to go to. Especially if I'm talking to somebody that maybe not saved, because I don't believe in strip clubs, but if y'all frequent strip clubs and things like that, brother, when you get married, you need to stay away from it. Or if you've been hanging around with them women that they've been after you and so forth and so on, and now you're still going back with your friends with those same women, you need to stay away from them. I mean, that's just common sense. That ain't deep, that ain't spiritual, that's just common sense. Isn't that right? But some people don't have that. If common sense was common, everybody would have it. Now, number three, obviously you got to prioritize your wife over other women. No other woman should ever come before your wife.
Never. Ever.
She's the only woman that deserves your admiration, praise, affection, and time. All right? Number four, prioritize time with your spouse over your children. Again, that goes both ways. Your children are important, but you've got to take time for each other. Amen. So prioritize your wife first and your children second. Husbands and wives. All right? Prioritize your spouse over time. This one is necessary, over social media, internet, and what are those things? Video games. You're married now, brother. You might not be able to play video games for 6 hours when you get home. Y'all laughing, but I got husbands that I know that they come home and they still think they're single, and they sit down and they just want to play video games like a kid all night long. You can't do that. Okay, anyway. All right, this is the last thing I'm going to do. And I think I got him. I might be missing some, but here's the last one for women. You must meet his need for domestic support by creating a home that offers him an atmosphere of peace. Yeah, I know. I know. For the younger wives, you need to manage your home and take care of your children. All right? Now, I can give you a lot of things about the domestic support, but domestic support may mean different things to him than it does to you. So you have to talk about it. You have to talk about it and then talk about it some more. All right? So here's something that you can do. Number one, identify your household responsibilities. Now, I can go into a lot of detail about this, but one of the first things you need to do as couples, and even if you're an older couple, when you're any older couples been frustrated about household duties and responsibilities? Any of y'all here? Okay, then even if you're older, when I say older, you've been married longer, and you're still arguing about it, then this will help you too. So number one, you need to identify what are the household responsibilities. What do we need to do? In other words, you need to name everything, every responsibility. From taking out the trash, to making up the bed, to washing the dishes, to drying them, to putting them away, to cooking, to whatever it is that you want to go on in that house, you need to name those responsibilities. You can come up with 100 things. Cutting the grass, cleaning the garage. You can come up with 100 different things or whatever. I don't know, with 50 things. But whatever they are, you need to name them. Now this is good for the young couples, or newlywed couples, and when I say young, even older, middle-aged newlyweds or whatever, but you got to name them. Describe what needs to be done. And you need to break them down. Cleaning the toilet. Are you going to lump the bathroom together, or is he going to clean the toilet, you going to clean the sink? You understand what I'm saying? So briefly decide what you must do, and then name the spouse that wants it accomplished. One thing sometimes you have in marriage is that something is more important to him than it is to her, or vice versa. Okay? A lot of times when you have that, a lot of times when you have that, if it's really more important to you and you're really fastidious about it and you really, kind of persnickety about it, look it up. Then you might need to do it. Especially if you really got it, it has to be done a certain way. Maybe you need to do it. I didn't say which one. I just said maybe you need to do it. You can rate how important they are and all of those kind of things. So here's some examples. Wash the breakfast dishes if that's an issue. Clear the breakfast table every morning. Put away the dishes, utensils, and so forth and so on. Feed the dog, feed the cat. We could go all down the line, right? So you got this list. All right, once you got this list together, number two, assume responsibility for items that you would enjoy doing yourself. So when I look at this list of 50 things, you might like ironing. I don't mind ironing. Some people don't like it. I don't mind ironing. I iron my butt off. I'm an ironer, man. But I'm gonna use all the starch. But I'm gonna iron that thing, man. The crease is gonna be tight, brother. I like to iron. Y'all just bring me some more. You know what? Because I used to have I was the only one as a kid ironing. Because it was just me. My mother couldn't iron. She burned her hands. So I just got used to it. That was just my thing. Ironing. Some of y'all shake your head. No, iron. So if it was stuff that needs to be ironed on the regular, now I know some men, they have this thing. See, I'm different from a lot of dudes. A lot of the woman, you gonna iron on my clothes. Well, you don't like ironing, she don't like ironing. We gotta figure this out. She said, send them to the cleaners. You ain't gonna send your work clothes to the cleaners more than likely, or whatever. Whatever. All right. Anyway, so number one, you find out what you like to do, what they like to do. All right. So now you got your big list of everything. Now you got a list of what she likes to do. Now you got a list of what he likes to do. Right. All right. The third thing is you got to take the remaining responsibilities and assign them to the one that wants it done the most. All right? So when you go through those 50, maybe you got 20, maybe he has 20, and maybe there's 10 left. Neither one of y'all really care about doing. Okay, well, who cares about those 10 on the list individually the most? Well, I do about 1, 2, 3. It's bad if all 10 of them are on you. You in trouble. You understand what I'm saying? But now you assign those things to the one who wants it done the most. saying? But it is a way to do it. All right? So then finally, number 4, then everybody meets the needs by assuming their responsibilities and carrying them out. All right? So you basically divided the responsibilities according to the willingness. Now I'm putting the domestic thing on the wife, but just like I'm saying, listen to me. Just like I'm saying it is the man's responsibility, you know, to shoulder the financial situation, but he needs help from his wife. It's her responsibility to create a domestic situation, but she needs help.
Amen.
Does that make sense? So listen, brothers. I know some of y'all been raised in the old troglodyte school of the last century or something along that line. But if your wife has to go to work, then you work 8 hours, she works 8 hours, 9 hours, whatever it is, then you don't get to come home and sit down and do nothing.
Amen.
And she does all the cooking and all the cleaning and all the domestic responsibilities. You've got to now share the load of that, or else you need to pay the cost for her to stay at home and be a housewife.
Amen. Amen.
Now, if you can afford to pay the cost for her to be the housewife and stay at home, and she wants to go to work and she works a lot, then maybe she needs, I'm not saying what you need to do, maybe she needs to hire a maid.
Amen.
Y'all understand me? Because somebody got to clean up.
Amen.
Somebody got to, maybe you go, or what they call them now, they don't call them maids, somebody call them, they call them housekeepers. Okay, so you got to hire a housekeeper or whatever. It's okay. If you're balling out, you know, like that, you hire a housekeeper or hire a chef or whatever you need to do. But somehow, some way, you hire a nanny. I don't care. But somebody got to figure out how to make these things happen, and you guys have to sit down and agree on them, because if you don't, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And there's so many. Listen to me. If you can't afford to do it, somebody got to do it. I personally used to cook half the time. There was a point that my wife said she wasn't going to work. Oh yeah, then you going to cook. Oh, it got quiet a little bit. Listen, you're not cooking no more. You're not working no more. You can't be a stay-at-home wife and do nothing while you're at home.
Amen.
I know that's personal, but you can't be a stay-at-home and not take care of home. Does that make sense? I know y'all don't like. See, I'm talking to, but by the same token, brother, she can't go to work the same amount of hours that you go to work, and then she does all the taking care of the home. Neither one of them are fair.
That's right.
And what's going to happen is somebody in that relationship is going to eventually feel like they're doing more than the other one is doing.
Yeah.
See, as long as you feel like it's really not a 50-50 love. It's really a 100-100 love.
Yes. Amen.
As long as you feel like he's giving 100% and you feel like she's giving 100%, then you'll do what you have to do to make the thing happen. But if you feel like you're giving 100 and she's giving 50 or 75 or vice versa, now somebody's going to start feeling like I'm giving more than I'm getting.
Yes.
That's where you start on this, now I don't feel appreciated, now I don't feel respected, now I don't feel loved, now I don't feel this, that, and the other. And now we start having the problem.
Yes.
So I don't really care. Let me, and I'm going to close out with this. And I'm going to encourage you to do two things. Number one, I'm going to encourage you to get Dr. Price's book. He has a book called Marriage and the Family. And it really goes into breaking down these domestic duties and responsibilities. It's a really good book. It's a really good book. I didn't read the book. I saw him teaching on it years ago on KTTV Channel 11 back in the day. All right? But it's really good teaching. And then get the book, His Needs, Her Needs. Let me say to the Facebook family, thank you for joining us today. I don't even know if we're still on, but thank you for joining us. I hope you got something out of it. We'll get into part 2 of this later on down in the year. All right? God bless you. Give them a great big hand.